This episode is brought to you by Temptations Cat Treats. Your cat will come running for the perfectly irresistible Temptations Creamy Puree and Temptations Lickable Spoon Cat Treats. The best time to feed lickable cat treats to your cat is anytime. Feed by hand for a playful moment, in a bowl for a creamy treat, or as a topper to make mealtime fun. Visit temptationstreats.com to learn more.
This is Rob Long with Martini Shot for The Ankler. I once was running a show that I did not create. I came to it already up and running, already cast, already, as it turned out, way over budget, and my job was to fix that problem without making everybody furious. And also to fix the stories. They weren't working either, and to make it funnier. Apparently it wasn't funny enough. And I failed at everything. But the very first job, the way over budget problem, and mostly what I did there was just some old pro tricks, like shooting an additional episode in bits and pieces during the regular production week, what we cheaters call a wraparound show because it wraps itself around the regular shooting schedule. I also planned to do another budget trick, which was to shoot a couple of shows with existing sets, no new construction required, and get some savings there. So a wraparound or two, a bottle show or two, that's what we call it when you just use what you have, a bottle show. But when I started planning the bottle episodes, the studio finance guy called me to tell me that actually I needed to do construction on every episode. I was obligated to build something every week. It was apparently a requirement of the cashback incentives that the state film board was giving the giant multinational company that owned the studio. The studio agreed to build something, anything, every week. The result was that we kept 4 carpenters employed, and it only cost the state taxpayers $1.7 million. These incentives are very popular, but like a lot of popular things, they don't make any financial sense at all. People will try to tell you that they do, but trust me, they do not. They make a lot of sense to the studios, of course, because they just take the cash and apply it to the ballooning budget. And the end result is, when you start to do the math, is that the hardworking taxpayer is subsidizing bloated Hollywood salaries. Because if the state is paying you to pay the carpenters, that means you have extra money to pay the guy who, is playing the dad, I guess. Because money does not respect categories. Money sloshes wherever it's needed. Money is what economists call fungible. And in any case, when you do a bunch of wraparound shows, the production crew starts to grumble because they are paid by the hour or the day. So if you work wall to wall, and you really need to, if you're going to fit in another scene from another episode here and there, they don't see any extra money. But the actors and above the line personnel, the producers and, me, we get paid by the episode. So if the network orders additional episodes and you shoot them wraparound style, which is what I was going to do, everybody gets paid more, except the people doing the actual work, which is not unusual in life, but it is still galling because money can be fungible, but people really hate to be fungible. No one wants to be funged. Now, I mention all of this because the President of the United States has suggested in the past 24 hours, so that could have all changed, a whole lot of notions about how to fix the financial mess Hollywood is in, everything from tariffs to subsidies, and I make zero judgment on his economic intelligence or innovation. Except to say that whenever these things are implemented by anybody, what happens is that everyone in the production who has an inflated salary already gets a little more inflated. And everyone who doesn't. The big guys in show business never take less. The actors especially soak up the savings. And it's not because they're greedy. Well, not only because they're greedy, but because before an actor gets big or, even medium, and the same goes for writers and directors, they suffer. They get rejected. They get a little pickled by resentment. So let me explain it this way. The Academy Players Directory, which doesn't exist anymore, I don't think, but back then it was a huge multi-volume set of soft-backed books, each containing hundreds of small, passport-sized headshots of pretty much every working actor in the film and TV business. And this was all before these things were online. And if you were an actor and you had ever had even the tiniest role, you were in the Academy Players Directory. And the books were organized along the most rigid principles. For women, there were the younger leading woman, older leading woman, ingenue, and comic sections. And I'm serious, that is really what they were called. And for men, it was roughly the same. And children got their own special volume. And because the directory is used by casting directors, the effect of all of those reduced-sized headshots staring out at you was pretty much like going to the local animal shelter to pick out a dog. The older leading male dogs would give smoldering James Bondish looks into the camera, while the older leading female dogs tried the slightly rueful half smile, and the younger leading dogs of both sexes pouted dramatically or smiled with such vitality and desperation that you just wanted to take them all home and give them all treats and take them to the vet for shots and neutering. Now, ironically, it was the comic section that was the most tragic, because those were the mutts, the droopy-eyed types with weight problems and lips that curled down instead of up. The comic actor and actress sections of Academy Players Directory was a checkerboard of what casting directors used to euphemize, or maybe still do, as interesting looks. Too fat, too skinny, no hair, too much hair. I mean, no one really wants to be in the comic actor section of anything, right? I mean, no one wants to star in the comedy version of life. We don't want to be thought of as having an interesting look by our loved ones and our coworkers. We all want to be in the younger leading section of the Academy Players Directory. But some of us may not be able to pull off the younger part. Hey, the shadows lengthen for us all eventually. But given the choice, we'd all rather smolder sexily or smile seductively than put on a funny face and slip in the dog poop. Once during a long casting session, a young actress started to read and then stopped suddenly in the middle of a speech, and tears welled up in her eyes. "You don't want me," she suddenly sobbed. "You want somebody a lot thinner." She was right, sadly. We were casting a romantic lead, someone that the male lead and the audience would need to find utterly beguiling, and the actress in the audition was maybe 40 pounds heavier than beguiling. At that point in her career, about the only believable romantic relationship the actress could have on screen would be with a chocolate croissant. And no, I did not say that, of course. I'm just saying this now because there's a happy ending. But as she was sobbing, "You want somebody a lot thinner," we just said, "No, no, 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 no," we reassured. "You're doing great. You're doing terrific. You look fine. You're great. Keep going." "I can keep going?" she asked after a moment. "Of course," we said encouragingly. She finished the audition. She did pretty well, but we were shooting the episode the following week, which wouldn't give the Monjaro or the Soul Cycle or the Orange Theory time to work. I mean, that is, had we felt comfortable telling her the truth, which we did not. But as she left, we reassured her some more, and I looked at the sheet in front of our casting director, who was a no-nonsense veteran of TV casting, and in front of the actress's name, she had penciled a note to herself. The number 2 and the letter F. Too fat. But as I said, the story does have a sort of happy ending. That particular performer did eventually book a recurring role on a drama series, and she did well enough that when her contract was up, she negotiated hard, like nuclear war hard, like scorch the earth, leave nothing alive hard. And this played out in the trades for a few weeks, but eventually 2 things happened. 1, people called her greedy, and 2, she got what she wanted. Now, they probably paid for her salary bump by shooting a few wraparounds and a bottle show or two, making the crew and some carpenters make up the difference. And while that part isn't fair, the truth is that you can be as 2F as you want in show business as long as you are crew, or frankly, a writer. But if you're on camera, unless you want to be in the carnival people section of the Academy Players Directory, you cannot be 2F. You can't even be 1F or even F. And you know that. And you take that rage and that bitterness and you bury it deep inside you until it's time to re-up a contract on the taxpayer's dime, if you're lucky. And that's it for this week. Next week, we learn some new show business stories. For The Ankler, this is Rob Long.